Hi, I'm Chris here. Welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're watching my video, please make sure you read on the description and the title below for the current software version that I'm using right now. My goal with this channel is to help you to become a better modular. So please take a moment and let me know in the comment how am I doing. Remember to leave a thumbs up so it can help the YouTube to share this video with a wider audience. And if you aren't subscribed, please do so and click on the bell for future content. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about how do you create round column in TRBC-III. So first of all, always go to a drawing tab when you want to create a column, not to go to identify tab. Firstly, as you can see in the identify tab, the function over here is more towards in identify the CAD layers and the CAD drawings to extract the column uh, legend out and identify them. And for the drawing tab here, they are more on creating column, will help you to lay your column in the corners and also help you to create your column faster and copy to other floors. Another reason for not to press on this one is because in TRB, you might accidentally click on the drawing layer itself. For example, I were to select on the layer, you see, and I will accidentally delete the layer as well. So we do not want that to happen. So it's the best that you don't go to the identify tab over here. Always go to a drawing tab. So to create a new round column, you can go to here. You see, you either can go to a favorite. There's a column over here. Yeah, if you move your mouse cursor over the small icon, it will appear the description. You see the column slash bracket C, and there's another column over here. It's a column and stiffener. Either one will do. Once you click on this one, well, if you do not like this table, you can also drag this lower. Yeah, to create a new column, go to new, select it, and select on the round column. If you were to compare this one with TASCIII, TASCIII will have the icon and also the description as well. However, in TRB, they only have the description only. So once you create a new column, it will appear COL-1 is by default, and you have to change all this information accordingly. So right now we need to fill in the information from the column schedule to our attribute editor over here. So for my personal preference, I would like to open up the column schedule in the CAD reader or in AutoCAD and put it side of my screen so I can view it on the left and right while modeling on the right. So if you do not have a dual screen, you can use this method, or maybe you prefer this method. This method will be fine as well. You have to import the column schedule into your software. So from here, you can directly extract the information directly from here. Well, let me explain about the column schedule. The first row will be talk about size of the column. The second and third row will be talk about main bars and link. So I will talk about more about this on the next video. So the fourth one will be concrete grade, which is over here, the fourth row. And the last one will be in cyan color, which is column marking. So from here, we can either fill in the column marking just like this by click on this name, or you can click on here. So either way will do. So one is changed, it will change as well. You see, the next one will be go to the concrete grade. The concrete grade will be fall under here. So let's say if you want your attribute to be much bigger, you can always drag it over to have a better view, or you can drag this bigger. Yeah, once you fill all your column, then during pointing time, you can just reduce this table to allow you have more space for column pointing. So right now, let me explain more about this one. As you can see, concrete grade over here is a bracket C35. What do you mean by bracket? Bracket is actually default followed back on the project setting. Go to the floor setting over here, select on the floor setting, and then there will be another table appear. So from here, Please take note that you have to click on the right floor. Right now your floor is on the ground floor. You have to select ground floor. Yeah. So from here, as you can see, the column over here is C35 concrete grade. So which also means that C35, this table will follow exactly in what over here. So let's say if you have a project that you run through, they got a lot of columns over there are at a similar grade, let's say grade 40, you can either change everything from here. So in the event if you change, you do not need to change it manually while you're doing your column. Yes, it will save your time actually. So right now I need to show you how can I change over here. Move to the column grade, C35, select it, select the arrow over here. Once select, you appear a table and you can select the column grade that you want, C40. So now we're going to talk about radius here, the size of the column. So for this 800 actually means that it's a diameter. So for radius, you have to divide the 800 by 2 to get its radius. So from here, yeah, it's correct. So we can just point the column in like this. As you can see, the column is actually same as the legend. So on the next one, we'll be talking about C5. To do a C5, you either can create a new one directly from here, or you can copy C4 and duplicate all the attribute over here and to C5. For my personal opinion, I would like to use this method because it's time saving. So from here, I just only need to change on the radius on the compare this one. This is diameter and this is radius because there's R stated over here. So we have to change it to 500. That will do. So right now you can see, yes, the column is at the same size with the legend. So right now I will talk about attribute editor over here. As you can see, there's attribute name and attribute value. So right now I'm going to talk about attribute value. So I'm going to talk more about attribute name over here. In this column, you will see there are two different color. One is blue and one is black. So blue color means that it's a public entity and the black means it's a private entity. It also means that it's an individual and also stand alone. So to demonstrate the difference between these two, I will use the column called C4 and point it over here. As you can see, once I select the C4 and I were to make the changes on any of the blue wordings over here, let's say we take radius for example, I need to change it to 400 to 800. Once I enter, the column will be bigger. When I unselect it, when this is selected on the C4 on the list here, you will see the radius has changed to 800 as well. And now I will change it back, let's say 400. You see, without selecting on the column itself, it will automatically change. So this is called the public entity. And for the private entity, let's say using the same column, I were to change on this one, private entity, which is called top elevation. From the floor top elevation, change it to 1. By unselecting on the column, as you can see in the list here, the C4 still remain the same, which is floor top elevation. So I were to select the column directly from the column list over here. As you can see right now, we have a difference between these two columns. One is on follow the top elevation of 1. One is follow the top elevation, floor top elevation. By selecting these two, it will become a question mark because software identify there's an inconsistency between these two, which is this one. So right now we have to delete these two columns and move on. So right now we're going to talk about this private entity over here, which is other attribute. Look carefully, it's a private attribute. Make sure you fill it correctly. So the purpose of this one to fill this thing is that once you fill, it will help you to make your report much more organized over here, your report. So and also save your time during quantity extraction. So let's say we have to fill on the summary info. I will prefer not to type it again since you already got you already type over here. So we can select the existing one by selecting it, copy it, and paste over here, just like this. Do it the same for C5. Right now, I will use a shortcut called Ctrl C to copy, and then move to C5 and Ctrl V to paste. Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Okay, and then we have to select both of them because I'm going to type round column over here, just like this. Right now, select the both column and make sure you click on the add boxes over here. Click on those important information that you want it to appear beside your column. For example, I will want the radius to appear. So by using this method, you can easily to check on the column sizes, and maybe you can click on a rebar in future to allow it easy for cross-checking, and you do not require to click into every single one of them to read those information. So for this information that you just fill, you just need to fill once because you can also export the entity to the TASCIII. So you do not need to fill it again in the both model. To point the column, select on the layout. Here state the C4 legend. So you have to select the point over here. Make sure you unselect the random point because when you select on the random point, it will make you hard to point and maybe point on the wrong location. So once you see the icon over here, turn to the cross. Yes, and you will see a yellow cross over here. Then you can point your column C4. And then for C5, I'll show you another tricks. Select on the C5. You can select on F4 to allow it easy to point on the intersection point over here, the line over here with the cat layer. As you can see, they are cross. You can see the icon change itself, and you can also move bottom and then move in the 4 direction, just like this. So after you successfully point your column and check everything, make sure, let's say and from here you can copy these 2 columns to the column above. Let's say your column share the same at the column above. So by selecting copy entity and select the column and select to the floor above, just like this. So by click on the 3D, you will actually view your column from the floor below and the floor above. If let's say in the event that you did not select the column properly, let's say I will do some error over here. Let's say the C4, you use the random point and you accidentally point the column away from the point. You see, random point means that you can point and your column or entity any location that you want. So by using this method, which is quite dangerous, we will point your column which is not at the exact location. In the event, it will lead to some quantity different and not accurate. After you're done pointing on the column, and make sure you're cross-checking everything. So the last step will be calculate. To perform a calculate, you need to move to quantity tab over here. Select the calculate over here. It will appear this calculate window. Or you can press a shortcut called F9. It will appear this window as well. Select all of them, press calculate, and click on OK. So to view a report, you go to view quantity by category over here. Select OK, select the range, and then from here, you can have a better view on the column quantity. You can also click on the subtotal below here. It will arrange it nicely for you. So let's say if you want to classify in your own style, you can always go to a range setting over here and go to the set classification over here to select the classification attribute name that you want. That's all. Thank you.